A&B Properties is Quincy's largest apartment rental company with hundreds of units available. They offer short-term and long-term rentals with 1 up to 4 bedroom apartments. A&B Properties meets the needs of its tenants with care, compassion, and a quality of service that exceeds expectations. A&B Properties also has a convenient tenant app for you to do your payments or make repair requests. Give them a call today. A&B Properties, 217-919-8080, Quincy.
My guest today is Jason Mccoy, and I'm very excited to have you. And I noticed that you've got a Quincy Freedom Fest on.
That's right.
And so
Tis the season for freedom all the way around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody wants freedom.
Absolutely.
Every single person. Some people, well, let's get into this. Do you think that there are people who don't, Americans, what percentage of Americans don't necessarily want freedom? They want security.
Right.
What about that? Remember what Ben Franklin said?
That's right.
You know, that quote.
Those that give up their security for in place of liberty basically don't deserve either. So
right.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people that live life afraid, and when they see something that can offer them security, whether it's a false security or real, they will a lot of times put away the things that give them liberty.
I'm going to open up with a question. I've got my little timer here. My first question to you, Jason Mccoy, is would it be a good idea for Illinois, this part of Illinois, southern Illinois, western Illinois, to secede, break away from the rest of the state? Now, as you're mulling over that answer, I'm going to say one thing here about how I feel about that general topic. I'm not for or against it. I feel Lincoln-esque in that I want to keep the union together no matter what. But like a state, North and South Carolina, North and South Dakota, what's the big deal?
So West Virginia split from Virginia constitutionally back in the 1800s. So this is not unprecedented.
Okay.
And it was done also in New England. I believe it was like Delaware from Connecticut or one of those smaller states up there. So it's not unprecedented. It is a constitutional way to do it. There's an actual organization here in Illinois called New Illinois, and it's newillinoisstate.org is where you can find the information there. Last I saw, they had like 15 grievances, and they need a chapter in every county. So if you're not in Adams County, does have a strong chapter for New Illinois. But if you're in Brown County or Hancock County or the other surrounding counties, I don't think you guys have a chapter there. So you only need like 10 people that kind of agree about this, want to learn more about it. You can stand up a chapter.
So the way that I feel about that is if I tend to vote a certain way and the state always goes the opposite way, if my candidates never win, if no matter what I do, if it doesn't matter if I write my congressman or senator, which by the way, I don't spend a lot of time doing that, I usually vote. I don't know if my vote has any weight or not. I don't know if my vote is wasted. There's this debate about how powerful is the vote. People say, well, all you have really is your vote, your voice. What do you say to people who have been living in really any state, any county, and they just don't feel like their voice is heard? So like in this kind of area, in Adams County, Quincy, Illinois, there's quite a lot of people who they don't think their vote is going to make much of a difference. Like come November, they don't think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever they do.
To me, that's a defeatist attitude.
Okay.
If you don't think your vote matters, maybe get more involved. There's always election judges that we need to be filled. There's always poll watchers that need to be filled. If you're not doing enough, maybe that's why you think that your vote don't count. There's so many opportunities to get involved in the election process. You can go check out the county clerk's office with Ryan Niekamp. He's got tons of information, and if you have any concerns about your election, your local election, or how it's being ran, or the machines, or anything, he's a great resource for that. He's very easy to talk to. And every time I have a question, hey, Ryan, what's going on with this, that, and the other thing? And he's usually very responsive.
So back to the question of should this section, how does this work? Are you involved in any of these debates, these talks with people, either in your inner circle, outer circle? I'll just cut to the chase. Should Illinois be split into two?
I definitely understand the argument, and I wouldn't be upset. So here's the grievances that New Illinois has. They all basically exist because the state of Illinois goes outside the U.S. Constitution. And so that's what each grievance in their bylaws and in their organization plan, they're justifying their existence through all of these violations of the U.S. Constitution, saying the state of Illinois, the legislators of Illinois, the governor of Illinois has violated these 15 areas of the U.S. Constitution.
Out of those 15, is there one particular one that's so egregious that if most people would hear it, they'd be like, oh my gosh, what are they doing?
Oh, wow. I mean, probably the most emotional one is definitely the gun laws, the FOID cards, the things that no other state in the union has. But there's things in there about the way they gerrymander, the districts. The gamut goes. It goes on and on and on. Again, if you want to check that out, it's newillinoisstate.org. It's a really good resource. There's emails in there if you have any other questions about it or what counties do have chapters you want to get involved with. But yeah, even if you don't think it would work, it's a great historical study because they go over the historical precedents of that this has been done before twice in the United States. And then also an economics study. So if you're kind of a numbers nerd, how would that economically sift out the debts and the revenues and everything like that? So that was kind of like, whoa, this is really, really interesting stuff here, getting into the civics of it. So
what do you think about the two-party system generally? Do you like it? Do you think it works?
No, I think in America we're more united than the media would like us to be. I think if I sat down with people who disagree with me, we could all probably say that the problems are the same. Like we all can agree these 10 problems all exist. We just disagree on the solutions. So that's already like at 50% agreement. And then you just disagree on certain issues, on how to solve those problems. So the media will never want you to think like that, though. They want you to believe red versus blue fight. And
yeah, I wonder. So, like, we talked about guns. There's immigration. So I don't want to take stances on these things right now, necessarily abortion. I'm not trying to take stances. We don't need to get into that. That's not the purpose. But just like guns, immigration, abortion. Does everybody just kind of agree that those things are problems and we all just disagree on the solutions? Because I don't know. I do think that today one side, and I kind of feel like I'm outside of that a little bit, but it's kind of a tough nut to crack when you feel like you're outside of it. So historically, my candidates do not win. So they just don't win.
Yeah, same.
I'm not in the Libertarian Party,
right?
Because I don't really want to be a part of some of these parties. I mean, I've had an R after my name before, and I don't feel like the R's around here. Like if I was going to attach myself to the R's, which I have in the past, sure, I don't feel comfortable doing it because then when I get inside their club, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Why? And I definitely don't want to be a part of the D's. So then, do I want to be a part of the L's? Do I want to be the porcupine? I don't want to be the donkey.
I have voted for libertarian candidates in the past.
They don't win. Did you see?
Even though they got like 3% when I voted, it's fine. It was a decision based on my principles.
Is Kennedy, RFK Jr., he's not in the LP this time, right? He's independent.
Independent, that's correct.
But the guy who is in the LP, the Libertarian Party,
yes,
the guy who won,
yes,
this is not my guy.
Right. He's kind of a far, I don't know if he's a left radical, but he's very radical in his ideas.
I cannot pin this guy down. I mean, he says so many. He's almost like super, super Tea Party, but then super like liberal, progressive, social.
Right. Well, so a lot of those issues.
What's his name? Is it Chase Oliver?
Yeah.
Is that the guy's name?
I believe it's Chase something. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting. So I don't like to pin myself in any tribe like that either. I just say, listen, I'm a constitutionalist. I think our founding fathers got it right. And we just need to go back to those principles and those rules that they set forth, because those guys were brilliant, first of all, and they used history to create something brand new. And throughout human history, we've always been the same. So they looked at the Magna Carta, they looked at different empires that they learned from in the past, and then they all sat together and said, okay, we have all these brilliant empires, we can learn what was good and what was bad, and we can start something brand new, the American experiment. And I think they got it right. They didn't expect it to last more than 20 years. Here we are almost 250 years later.
It's amazing. And some of them are pretty young.
They were very young. Yeah, they're 30.
Some of them were 18.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think James Madison was 18.
Yeah, the younger ones were very young.
Yeah, and then a lot of them were 20s and 30s. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was 33.
But when they were 13, they're like scientists already and stuff. So they were like brilliant at the time. I think Jefferson taught himself like 2 different languages by the age of like 15 or 16 years old. So these guys
What schools did they go to, or were they homeschooled?
Well, I think a lot of it was that schoolhouse learning, but then they did have institutions that they would send, their kids to as well. So there was a combination of things.
Like Ole Miss?
Well, I hope one day it could be something with that sort of prestige.
So you're involved with Ole Miss a bit, quite a bit, probably.
I'm a huge cheerleader.
Huge. And are they having summer break right now?
They don't know how to take a break. So they're doing it's kind of like a summer program. It's a hybrid of like bridge learning. So last year, I remember they did this big campaign about their summer program being sort of a hybrid of education in the morning and fun in the afternoon. So it's not school. It's not like summer school or anything like that, but they interweave a lot more of the arts and things like that with their education in the summer. And then what the goal is, well, statistically, they say that like 30% of everything learned in the previous year is lost over the summer break. 30%, I think, is what I remember. And this was a year ago, so I might be wrong, but it was big. It was really big. So their goal is just keep it level over the summer and not lose 30%. So if they can just keep it level, the teachers don't have to spend the first 3 months or whatever trying to review the previous year. So I thought that was brilliant. But also, it helps with just keeping their name out in the news and flyers going. And actually, I think there was like 30 students enrolled, and I could be wrong. Please correct me in the comments or something. But it was like 30 last time I heard that was enrolled in the summer program, and like half of those weren't even Ole Miss students last semester. So, so it can kind of be an on-ramp as well to the next year.
My wife and I were independently, so I kind of did a little bit more research, I think, than my wife did. But when I heavily examined putting my kids into the Ole Miss school program, and the only reason why I didn't was, I think, a little bit of laziness on my part, and this idea where sometimes my wife says, listen, our kids need a break. They've been doing this, which, by the way, I don't know, do you have any kids?
Mm-hmm. 5.
5? 5? Mm-hmm. That's it?
Well.
Oh, my gosh, 5. I mean, my wife and I struggle with 3. I mean, we're doing great, and it's wonderful, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person where I want to just always talk about all the good things all the time. I tend to not be negative, but more realistic, where the kids are just driving us crazy, and we need a break.
Send them to church camp or something, right?
Send them to church camp. It's almost like my wife wants to get a job to make just enough money for daycare and give all of her money to daycare because the entire time that she's working at 25, 30 hours a week, she can pay the daycare. I mean, this doesn't make necessarily sense. I mean, my wife's very smart.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, what she's doing is she's laboring to go give the kids a break from her, because when she walks in the door, She wants the kids to say, "Mommy, mommy."
Yeah.
'Cause that's what they do when I walk in the door. When my kids see me pulling up the driveway, they're sprinting out of the house unless they're on their iPads, and then they do not care about me. But if my wife has taken away the iPads, they run out. They're so happy to see me, and my wife wants that. She's selfishly and justifiably, she's very validated in her concerns. She wants that. So she thinks to herself, she's like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll get a part-time job. I'll make money. I'll have fun. I'll network. I'll see people. I'll have freedom. When I go to the bathroom, the kids won't walk in. You know? That's what she wants.
Yeah.
So I almost enrolled the kids in not the 4-year-old, but the 9 and 8-year-old. I almost did. And Jacqueline Kaufman, which, by the way, she just did my family pictures.
She's amazing.
How does she? Okay, so Jacqueline Kaufman. She has just a wild family. You got you got Kelsey in there, you got Todd Rosta in there,
yeah, sure.
and I don't know her mom. I know her mom's beautiful and awesome, but I just don't know her. But
She's an amazing nurse.
is she?
Yeah.
I just hear just amazing things from her. But Jacqueline, she Storm Bear Pictures, and
Musician.
she's a musician with Levi.
Yep,
I think.
Levi. She's a singer, and she has fun with that.
Yeah, she just does a lot of stuff, and she's involved with the Ole Miss school and things like that.
I've tried to get her a real job where I work, and she doesn't want. She's like, nope, I don't want to be locked in. I'm free with doing what I'm doing, and
I mean, talk about Freedom Fest.
completely in respect. Yeah,
I mean, she's got the most freedom of anybody I know.
Yeah,
but also works hard.
she does.
She gets at it.
She's so creative.
But she did try to get me to get the kids in there, and she said things like, I don't understand, Frankie. You're like such a. So she does not say right-wing extremist. She doesn't think that I'm that person because I'm like, come on, I'm libertarian.
Yeah.
What is? I'm a constitutionalist.
Yeah.
That's radical.
Well,
that's radical.
In today's
stuff.
world, it is.
That's I won't say the phrase, but it's D and T. It rhymes with domestic rarest.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The list, yeah.
Like when you're a constitutionalist and you will not go outside the Constitution. You do everything fair. You shut the border down. You balance the budget. You don't go and fight all of these foreign wars for fun.
Yeah.
To entice the military-industrial complex, like Eisenhower talked about, like we're doing right now.
You're really getting into it, aren't you?
Oh, baby. Okay. In the news, what are your thoughts about this? The House, the U.S. House, passed a bill for selective service
Okay, I knew you were going
for
there.
18 to 24
Yep.
males.
Yeah.
My question to you is, in the land of equity, in the land of opportunity and feminism,
I knew you were going there.
shouldn't we have, and I'm making a joke here, this is a joke, shouldn't we have women fight on the front lines for the next 250 years? And which, by the way, I want the women, orphans, and children to be safe and get into the safe boats,
Yeah.
and then the men go and get killed.
Right.
I'm for that.
Yeah, well, that's our purpose, right?
That is our purpose.
In society.
That is our purpose. We're here to fight, get nasty,
Yeah.
and do the right thing and fight for freedom.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
But what do you think about this? So, by the way, it's not going to pass in the Senate because they've got all this crap hooked to it's all the pork and
Right.
like all of the weird extras, so it won't pass.
Right.
But what do you think about that?
Fundamentally, I'm against it.
Why?
Absolutely
Why?
against it. Because I think the only reason our military is as strong as it is because it's all volunteer military. I served for 10 years, from 2001 to 2011. I loved it. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the experiences I got to enjoy. But then I think back to the draft, and I remember reading and studying about like Vietnam and the draft and those eras, and that was just a different military. The quality of the military folks, probably more than half didn't even want to be in the military. So the attitude and the camaraderie didn't exist like it does today. Now, when they came back, as far as that goes, they were treated poorly in a lot of areas. Now, in Quincy, I think we did well. Back then, I wasn't alive, but from what I hear, our community treated those Vietnam veterans right. But the whole thing is we get what was in the media, and that was like in your major cities and sort of the anti-war protesters everywhere. And you get little factions of that here and there, but nothing like it used to be. And I think a lot of that was due to the draft. I think a lot of that was due to the force of government over your freedom. And anytime the government forces any kind of mandates, going into some things that we had in recent history, I'm going to resist it hard. And whether I think that it's important or not doesn't matter. It's the force of government at the barrel of a gun taking away your liberty and your freedom to come and do what you want to do with your family and make your own choices as an individual. And so, you know, I hear the arguments, and I think there are benefits to society to teach lessons of charity and teach lessons of volunteerism and things like that. But you're not going to do it by force. That's just not going to work. It'll never work. And that's just not how humans, and especially Americans, are designed mentally. So I hate everything about that. And interesting you brought this up. And I didn't even know this was happening, by the way. But I don't know, maybe a week or two ago, I actually posted on social media something along these lines. I said something like, every male and female should be mandated to volunteer between the ages of 18 and 22. Or I think I did 18 to 20, I think is what I said. And the comment sections went nuts.
Did you throw it out there as red meat? Did you throw it out there because you think that everybody should do it? Or did you do it because you just wanted to see the commentary?
So I've created an echo chamber in my own social media.
That's really nice of you to admit that it's an echo chamber.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Everyone that disagrees with me already unfollowed. My mom unfollowed. Like no one that wants to hear my opinion follows me anymore. And then a bunch of people who do agree with me have kind of paid attention or whatever. So, so I definitely recognize it's an echo chamber, and I kind of hate it. I hate the fact that, like, you know, I have so many people just kind of validating my beliefs. I want to explore what other people are thinking and have that debate. And that's kind of what I don't really do too much on social media, but when I do something, I do want to make people think. I want them to explore the different possibilities of, any issue that I want to address, and encourage those sort of feisty conversations throughout the comments.
I was talking with Brittany Bull and Ashley Conrad about this, and they're pretty just savvy people in general. Their opinions are generally just well thought out, and they layer things nicely when they speak. And they were talking about, and all three of us were talking about how social media is an art. It's an art form. So if you say, I think this, and this is what's going on, all of a sudden you've alienated maybe at least half of the people are immediately just turned off. Then there's another 10 to 20% of people that love you, they agree, but they've already heard you say it 50 times, and they're kind of done. They're like, oh, geez, scroll by. And we were talking, this is a while, probably 6 months ago, we were talking about this. And if you phrase something in the form of a question, and this is in real life too, with interpersonal relationships. So okay, are you married?
I am.
Okay.
20 years.
20?
21 this year, yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
You look too young for 20 years, but...
We got married at 20. I was
did?
20, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was older than that.
Hard work.
My wife and I are celebrating 10 years this year, and I got married at 37, so I feel like I'm 17 years behind the curve on it, but anyway.
It's okay.
We were talking about how, interpersonally, when you ask something in the form of a question, so for example, should these people do this and this and this and this and this? Then what's happening is you're opening up the 50% against you.
I love that.
So they can come and chime in. I'm trying to think of how many mistakes. I'm not going to ask Bob how many mistakes I've made on social media, because we can separate. So since Money River, scores.
10.
So no, think about this. In your relationships, if you say, I think you should do this with your wife or a friend or a brother or a kid, as opposed to, hey, I noticed this, and here are some options. Can I ask you a question? What do you think about this as opposed to that? What do you think? Oh, my gosh. I mean, the 1,700 people that have unfollowed me on Facebook, if I would have just done this right the first time, but in like friendships, you know, it's just a wild thing. Like it's all in the delivery. And even though I think I did see your post about that, about the, you know, should Americans, you know, like in Israel, which, I mean, Israel, America, same country.
Well, this was an interesting thing. So when I made the post, it wasn't necessarily about the military, although that's what everyone assumed. Everyone was.
Didn't you
was
use
like,
the term service?
I said serve.
Serve.
I said it should be mandated service, something like that. And after I let the comments go for a while, and I started seeing like everyone just assuming military, I made a clarification in the comments that it would be any kind of service, any kind of civic service, whether it's through your church or a non-for-profit organization, where you would come in as sort of an intern and serve that organization, that charity, whatever it is. And then that brought on a whole nother animal of comments going back and forth, like, well, yeah, this could, you know, you teach all kinds of charity, like I said earlier.
What would happen? Okay, I just thought of something. I think we're onto something. Imagine if you could opt out of Social Security.
Okay.
And Social Security. Okay. Social program. A social America. Well, you got to be really careful too when you say socialism. If socialism is bad or good, or if there's a limit to socialism. Because really, I'll tell you right now, if the feds taxed everybody at 5% and only went for infrastructure and the military, let's say a flat tax, okay, and it just went to that. Military, borders, roads. I'm just saying, like, and then what happens is, if you want to opt into this security program, Social Security program, I don't know what you would call it. I think we should get rid of Social Security.
Private investment.
Private investment, 401,
Right.
not a 401k, but
Whatever.
imagine if, say,
Right.
service to your country. It could be anything.
Right.
It could be picking up the garbage in your neighborhood for a year.
Working for your city for free.
Work for your city for free.
As an intern, because you're still accountability. You
Yeah.
still got to show up to work, but it's as an intern, and you're cleaning up. That way, they're not paying for service.
And then, I mean, even if you attach a dollar amount to that, like whatever, I mean, there's all different kinds of ways to do it. Maybe you do it for free as a free. You attach the dollar amount to get credits.
Right.
Well, then you get a social credit score. I don't want to do that. So there's all of these hiccups here. But you know, Israel. I made the joke that Israel, America, same country, and you can't speak against Israel. So I need to preface this.
There's a large section of the world that says it's little Satan and big Satan, so you might be on something there too.
Okay. So before, you got to be really careful when you're talking about Israel and Palestine.
Right.
I used to take one side, and now I've kind of regrouped and said, I don't know, and I don't want to take a side anymore, and I want them to stop hurting each other, and I can't do anything about it. And I love the Palestinians, and I love the Israelis, and I want all of the mess to stop. So the fact that I've withdrawn my formal support for Israel, I don't know if that's anti-Semitic. I'm not trying to be that. I'm saying I'm scared for all of these people, and it's a tinderbox. And I grew up Catholic, where we're in the halls of the church screaming, "Oh Israel, ill Israel," for years and years and years. I mean, Catholics are just like, "Oh, I'm for Israel."
Well, I mean, anyone who believes in the Bible, they
do.
The Old Testament is nothing but, Israel is God's people there, and so
Yeah, and they probably are the chosen people. But anyway, but regardless, Israel has a program where you serve your country for, is it a year?
I think it's 2 years, 18 months maybe.
2 years, 18 months? Okay, somewhere between 12 and 24 months.
Yeah.
Israel has a thing where
Every man and woman.
Equally,
Yep.
they are just expected to serve their country in some aspect. It doesn't mean you're part of IDF.
I lived in Turkey for 2 years, and every man has served. So they have 30 million people in service at all time in Turkey.
Wow.
That's a big military.
That is a big military. What do you think's going to happen? I think, I heard that our president kind of gave the okay. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, I did check some sources, but I don't know if this is absolutely the case. I heard that our president kind of said something along the lines of like, we're going to back Ukraine for the next 10 years. We're going to give them lots more money. We're going to give them arms. We're going to give NATO and NATO forces special privileges to go ahead and use, and this is where the fallout is in terms of tactical nukes in the motherland of Russia. I think these things are happening. Just because I hear something in the news, Jason, I have no idea. I have no idea if it's true. I kind of like to go to some outside news sources outside of the mainstream America
RT
to get
or something.
RT, yeah, I guess, but everything seems suspect. The only time I know it's the truth is when I go to Money River News.
Oh, there you go.
And you got Bob Goff and Dave
Bang,
Adam
bang.
because they're hardcore journalists and they just want to write what the news is of what they're actually seeing and
Gosh.
witnessing, and they don't even add. It's like
Pay raise. right
yeah,
here,
Bob.
yeah.
Which reminds me, speaking of money, I need to get some more Crown Peach for the office. But what do you generally think about what is happening? What is your take on the United States possibly going to war? Possibly, do you have any concerns with anything that's happening anywhere? What are you more concerned?
Where do we start? Wow.
Are you more concerned with Israel or Ukraine?
Okay, so I'm not concerned that much with Israel. Actually, they are a very strong nation, even though they're completely surrounded and geographically they're a tiny little sliver in that region. But they have the resources and they have the skills to defend themselves. I don't think there's any worry of them going on the offensive as far as trying to take over land or anything like that. So as long as they can defend themselves, I think that's all they should be doing. As far as Hamas and all that stuff going into their area, obviously I think the whole country is kind of upside down to not quite understanding what Hamas is, how it's funded, how its armament is created and stored, and how they defend their resources to just build stockpiles for the attacks that they do. Too many people get confused with the people in Palestine that are innocent and not say, well, Hamas is the one that's actually the instigator here. And if the people of Palestine actually wanted to end it, they would just eradicate Hamas themselves, because that's the actual terrorist organization that creates all the havoc there. They're the Islamic fundamentalists that believe the Quran is calls for their violence. So, and whether the other people believe that or not, it doesn't really matter. That's what Hamas believes, and that's all that matters. So, it's one of those things. Like, I try not to get too consumed by these geographical conflicts because I have no power over it. So I don't really like to spend a lot of brain power on things that I have no control over. When I was over in those regions, I did a lot of studying. We took Turkish classes so we could actually communicate to the public, and we could go shopping and go to the restaurants locally and that sort of thing.
Why were you in Turkey?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
I served over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Played some soccer over there while we were serving. So.
Why was the Air Force in Turkey?
Oh, well, we've been over there since after World War II. We have several strategic. I can't really get into a lot of that information, but we have several strategic.
Yeah, don't blow our cover here.
No.
The Air Force is not in Turkey.
So Incirlik is the biggest base there, and it's basically right in the southern, mid-southern region of the country by Gaziantep and Antioch by Syria. So as it goes down in the Mediterranean Sea, that's right where that is. So there's a lot of air traffic that goes in and out from Germany, for example, to the U.S., to Germany, to Incirlik, to the area of operations.
Is Istanbul, is that still considered kind of the gateway between Europe and the Middle East?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've been there, I don't know, 2-3 times, and we actually vacationed there a few times when we lived there. But there are actually some really amazing places, and biblically, like if you are a biblical person and you just want to go visit some of the biblical sites there, unbelievable to go down in that Syria region, across the northern Mediterranean side there. That Kiskalasi is a really cool castle out in the sea where one of the emperors basically built it because, well, long story, but you can be on the beach of the Mediterranean Sea in Turkey and then see this castle maybe 3 or 4 blocks away. So you see it out there, and it's just like a ruined, castle, but you can parasail around this thing out there on an island, and so it really beautiful place. The culture is very, very different. You get briefed when you go over there what to do, what not to do, what's offensive, because there's a lot of things that we do every day here in America.
What's something that would be offensive?
Oh, man. You don't show the bottom of your shoe. That's very, very offensive.
Oh.
There's certain hand gestures that you just can't do. Do things like that with your teeth. Like, it's like the F you, like a middle finger kind of deal. You don't talk about someone's mother. You don't call anyone anything to do with a dog because it's highly disrespectful.
Okay.
And they're like fighting. Like, if you do these things, like they will fight you. It's not it's not just like, hey, F you, brother, or anything like that. They get very.
You're gonna get into a physical altercation.
They
immediately.
might.
Okay.
They'll get very upset with you, and I've made a few mistakes while I was
You
over
did?
there. Oh yeah. Oh
What,
yeah. It's
talking
very
about-
easy.
You were talking about someone's mother?
No, but just if you even casually offend them, they will be very upset with you.
And so, okay, interesting, because they might think that maybe you're an outsider. They know you're American, or
So the military, we worked hand in hand with Turkish nationals, and so as translators and things like that. So we worked with probably half of the base was Turkish nationals. So, just through daily conversations, playing cards or whatever, you could go too far and just not even realize you're going there, and they'll
all of a sudden,
you
got a shiv in your abdomen.
You gotta go apologize.
You got to go apologize.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So you went vacation there?
So while we were living there, for 2 years, we would just take a week off or whatever.
Okay. I didn't know if like you and your wife maybe.
Yeah,
went
we
to
would.
Istanbul.
There was trips all the time. So like, we would catch a trip to Cappadocia or something, which is like, you feel like you're on Mars because there's all these formations from ancient, like volcano ash that eroded, and there's these huge. Like fairy chimneys, they call them, and people lived in them. So there's like homes inside these structures. And
did they know about Noah's Ark in that region? Isn't Noah's Ark somewhere up in the mountains in that area, or am I way off? Because I think that there's been some recent developments. Some archaeologists have maybe possibly seen the Ark or seen some of the. What's that place? Oh goodness, what's the name of that place?
Mount
where?
Carmel?
No.
What is? Oh, Sinai.
Is it Sinai? Is it Sinai? I don't know, but Mount Sinai is not in Turkey.
No, that's down in like Saudi Arabia or something, or over in.
Yeah, but they found. Yeah, I think they. There's allegedly.
Yeah.
Everything's allegedly.
They find these like ruins or this shape from like.
Yeah, and so
satellites or
they think that they've maybe found the Ark, and then down below at the foot, up in a mountain. Where there's like, how can a boat be up in the mountain?
Right,
well, during the Great Flood, that everybody, that
Settles.
all major world religions acknowledge, and all the vast arrays of ancient wisdoms and all the texts all point to the Great Deluge,
Yeah.
or deluge, depending on, but so, hey, speaking of that, how did you meet your wife? Do you mind if I ask?
Yeah. So we worked together. She was in the Air Force as well.
Where did you meet?
Travis Air Force Base, and so it's basically between San Francisco and Sacramento, California, Fairfield, California, Vacaville, California. It's like right in that region. She was actually from there. Like her family had lived all throughout the Bay Area, California, and when she went to the military, they were in Stockton, California. And so when she got her orders out of basic training, she basically wanted Travis Air Force Base, and she was logistics and I was logistics, and so basically I worked on aircraft, all the cargo and passengers moving from, that was the largest hub in America on the West Coast, so everything going to Asia, Pacific side, went through Travis Air Force Base, and
Did you guys meet on the base?
we lived together in dorms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
That's
all the
fascinating.
military, male and female, live together in dorms. So it's like college, but you all have a job.
How long have military men and women been living in the same dorms together?
I don't know.
Is that-
Seems like a while.
It hasn't been a while. So
Well, that was in
it's been-
2002, and as far as I know, it was.
Wow.
I don't remember them ever hearing about them being actually segregated into
Oh.
gender-specific dorms.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. You've been married. Did you say 20 years?
Yeah, 21 years this year.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
married in 2003.
And you've got 5 kids. What are their
5.
ages?
So 17. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. Now you guys are going to watch this and be like, oh, my dad doesn't know
Yeah.
how old we are.
17, almost 14, 11, 8, and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a 4-year-old?
Yeah.
I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, he's quite a handful. He's a hooligan about everything he gets into, and whether you're taking him to the racetracks or tractor pulls or horse riding or soccer games, he's just, yeah, let's go. So he's fun to be around.
Well, that's fantastic that you met your wife in the military like that. And I just think that's congratulations.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. I
Yeah.
do have one more question about the military. Do you have any kind of a takeaway? Like, I mean, I'm sure you don't have one takeaway from your experience in the military, but is there any kind of thing, like any kind of paradigm shift in terms of when you leave the military, you come and be a civilian again, you live in Quincy, Illinois, you do what you do. Is there anything that you reflect back upon, like when you hear the news, when you talk to people, you think about spirituality or politics, the news, interrelations with people that you're, are all of our contemporaries together here living in Quincy.
Right.
Is there anything that you can think of all of your experience? Because I mean, to be honest, I don't have military experience, and I really do. It's not that I wish I did, because the circumstances were such that. So my dad was drafted into Vietnam, and he spent 1 day short of a year in the jungle with M16 and grenade in the jungle. So messy, bad, did not have a good ending. He didn't die in the war. He was there from 70 to 71, like kind of towards the end. And just got Agent Orange on him. It did not have a good result.
Right.
So that's the reason why I didn't join the military.
Right.
When like Marines and Army and Air Force would call our phone, our home phone, back when there were no cell phones,
Right.
back when everybody had pagers,
Yeah.
my mom would say, he's never joining your stupid organization. Don't call there again. She was very mad because she lost her husband.
Yeah.
So, but we are pro-military. We're pro-America. We're back to blue. We're hardcore. We're all constitutionalists in my family. But for you, like what do you take with you in the day-to-day? What means something to you? I mean, is it like you look at the flag differently? Things mean more to you? I see that you had a Quincy Freedom Fest shirt on. What did you take from the military to apply to your day-to-day life?
Well, I don't want to get too cliche, but you hear a lot of military people say, I took an oath of office. I took an oath to the United States Constitution, and there was never an expiration date on that. So what that means to me is basically, you're going to serve your country for the rest of your life. And
interesting. I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah. So what does that mean, though? I'm not serving my government. I'm serving my people. So that's kind of why I involve myself with a lot of non-for-profits that share what does that mean? What does it mean to teach our community what the Founding Fathers wanted to give us? What does that liberty look like? I mean, thinking about listening to the national anthem, those things, I'll get chills, I'll get emotional.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see it a little bit right now with you.
You're getting
even
me there.
saying it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll back off a little bit. I'm sorry. But so I can see your passion, and when we spoke on the phone, I could definitely hear your passion. I kind of feel it through the phone, and so and this is cliche, but thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. For sure.
And I do. Can we take something local, a little bit more local here in terms of like, I've got a political question for you.
All right.
I'm asking this question. It's not a leading question that I know the answer, and I want to see like, if you know the answer. It's not what it is. I was going to ask you this. I was even just going to call you just to shoot the breeze because I don't know this answer. So I briefly became a precinct committeeman a couple of years ago, and a guy named Jacob Huff, who I think is a really good guy.
Yeah.
Him and I were running against each other in, in one of the precincts in Quincy.
Quincy 16.
Yeah, it was. How do you know that? How do you know the precinct number? You're freaking me out. I went to the convention, the Republican convention. This is what I'm talking about. Like, it's hard for me to put an R after my name because I got to that.
Yeah.
I got to that convention in the courthouse, Adams County Courthouse. Okay. And I hope I didn't take any kind of blood oath at the courthouse, but I love all the people in there.
Yeah.
I do. I love them both. There is this deep faction in Quincy. I feel like so here's the political question I've got. The Dems in Quincy seem to be really unified. I don't know if they are. I don't know. But they seem to be unified. Like they love every tax. There isn't a tax that they don't like. Give me the taxes. Oh, I have $100.
Tax me harder.
Take $99. Oh, just take the whole 100 because I also love my country. Then you got the R's. Went to the courthouse and I noticed that the R's are kind of like separated. There's one side they don't like the other side. They don't like each other. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if
vaguely.
I don't know if this is going to get edited out or not. Sometimes Bob edits our stuff, and he does, I'm joking, Bob. But I split the baby.
Yeah.
So Steve Kennedy, who I like a lot. Okay, he taught me some things. Mccoy taught me some stuff. Todd Ross taught me some stuff. I'm throwing out some like big name. They're big names to me. Sure. Okay. And then they explained to me the same thing, like the very good man, Dave Bachhold, and some of the very good sides on, there's like the establishment. Okay. And there is the Tea Party kind of a people here in Quincy. And the reason why I'm saving this for last is because I figured anybody who's, we're 45 minutes into the pod. I figure if anybody has turned off by now, like the true freedom fighters in Quincy, they're here for this right now.
They're going to grind it out.
They're going to grind this out and listen to this. So what happened was I learned that, and Steve Kennedy was giving me this really good examination of the boots and the suits.
Yeah.
Okay? Have you ever heard him say that? Anyway,
a time or two.
Maybe that's a thing, yeah. And he taught me some things. And by the way, that's the Tea Party boots side. The suits establishment side, they taught me a bunch of stuff too. I first went to the establishment meeting, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where's everybody? They're like, no, everyone's here. I'm like, no. I know there's no. Not everybody's here. And they go, oh, yeah, we have 2 separate meetings. I go, oh, well, why is that? So you know what I did? I arranged a meeting with the other side. Well, I mean, there's not the other side. Both sides are the other side to me because I'm libertarian. I'm a freedom fighter. So, and I'm trying to be – I want to be the bridge between the two. And I ran against Jake Huff. Okay. And I don't want to get Jacob Huff in any kind of trouble here. I won't say where he works, but he's a stud. And we ran against each other.
But you had no knowledge.
I had no knowledge.
He had no knowledge you were running.
And so we talked to.
It was just a thing.
We called each other on the phone. I'm like, oh, dude, bro. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to run against you. He's like, I don't want to run against you. So we just we're like, I'm like, I'll tell you what. We'll run. We'll do it. Not one person has more name recognition than the other. Let's just run. We'll see what happens. And then we'll reevaluate.
You can always support each other in the end anyway, regardless of what happens. Yeah.
We did. Yeah, we support each other.
More choices are better than no choices, in my opinion.
I went to the convention, and I broke it down the middle. And I don't want to say how other people voted because I think there's some ethical things about saying that, and it may be public record. It probably is. But I believe I was the only person who truly voted half boots, half suits. And both sides were kind of just irritated with me, which they shouldn't be. I mean, I should be wearing that like a badge, and they should be like, "Oh, Frank, that takes a lot of guts to stand up there and like go." You know, some people think, "Oh, I don't have any integrity because I'm trying to like kiss everyone's ass." No, I want unification.
Yeah.
I want them to all band together and collectively. I'm not going to call everybody a bunch of sissies, but because they're not. But it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
And then it was so funny. I was, so here's how I want to work. And I want to ask you your opinion.
Sure.
What should all Quincyans do in terms of like banding together? And I don't think it's going to happen in terms of like, some Quincyans, they're totally okay with the open border. There's 8, 9, 10 million people coming across the border, and if the current president gets elected again, probably will. There's election fraud already happening. It's probably already, don't even have elections. Who cares? But what do you think should happen like inside? Since the Democrats seem to be really united, they just love everything about like more government the better, like whatever you want to do. But ours are.
I have to disagree with you on
Okay,
that.
please push back.
I mean, there are still a lot of those quote-unquote blue dog Democrats that don't like what the radical, young, new Marxists are pushing. And that young, new Marxists that are really, really loud, they're a small faction of what the majority of the Democrats believe. They're just the ones that are active. And so I see a lot of those old Democrats who've said, my family has been Democrat my whole entire life. I've, voted Democrat my whole life, but I just can't go there anymore. Like, it's moved so far to the left.
I mean, is this a...
So there is a faction there, though. Like, they are splintered just as much as those that are, let's say, the establishment versus the conservatives who want more of a purity test on what is conservative. So, and that's what I think you're talking about, where the Republican Party is split. You have the establishment who love to brag how much money they can raise. And then but they will never knock on a door and try to get someone to register to vote either. And then you have the boots, for say, they're out there in the streets with doing voter petition drives and doing all kinds of registration drives, and they're the ones out trying to sell merchandise so that they'll wear a shirt or whatever they're trying to do. But they're the ones that are doing the parades and really pushing sort of the outreach and to grow the umbrella.
Like organic grassroots.
Right. And so that's the faction you see there. And I think principally they're probably going to always vote the same. It's just style where they disagree. The GOP will say, well, we're having troubles raising money or whatever. Well, that's because you're not getting results.
I see. I think generally speaking, you're right. And by the way, I'm not pushing back on you on this one to be a jerk or whatever. But this is
I don't care.
This is my problem. When I hear you say that, and this is just my own personal. If anybody would say that, I'd be like, oh man. But what about all of these establishment people that don't like Trump, and like he's an R. Mm-hmm. So this is the other thing too. Is like when you're an R, you got to vote for R's. I guess.
That's why primaries exist, is because you do have a choice in the primary, but then you got to get over yourself. When the primary happens, they were always like, well, the primary, this is not my candidate. I have had so many, you said my candidates lose. My candidates lose almost every single primary. And I've had to get over it and told just get in line and march with the rest of them. But, it's not fun, but you got to do what you got to do.
Is there a ghost behind the scenes, like Adams County, like committee, like outside? So there's like the official one on paper that goes to meet. Is there another one? I allegedly, I don't know, and you can say pass if you want. Is there another like side committee that is like unofficial, maybe not like on paper happening? Is there anything? Because I mean, I'll join that committee. Like, get me in the one where everyone's agreeing and like and like on the same side for liberty. Because, is there anything happening like that? So if you can't say anything, I can kind of adjust because I'm reading your body language. It's kind of like I feel like that group is the first group to invite me to be in their militia. And I'm not saying that anybody's got a militia, but militias are legal. And then once you have a militia, like all of a sudden, the Second Amendment is full in effect.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the importance of having a really strong sheriff, I guess. You know, because, you know, he's going to make sure that if you have a constitutional sheriff, they're going to make sure that legally it's called the posse comitatus. It's constitutional powers of a sheriff to have his posse or his deputies that he can deputize. But he'll make sure everyone's responsible, respectful, you know, on the up and up. And if there ever is a national emergency or a local emergency, it doesn't have to be anything, but maybe a tornado comes through and the sheriff needs help, you know, something like that.
Are we pretty safe in Adams County in terms of the people, like the real red blood Americans, baby? The real, you know, you remember in World War II, allegedly, again, I got to use the term allegedly. As long as you put allegedly before everything, you can never get in trouble.
Sure.
You can say whatever. I allegedly did that. I probably did, but maybe I did.
That way they don't see you.
They don't see me. Yeah, that's why I make sure there's no cameras around when I'm getting my beatdowns. So, but you ever hear that old wives' tale about the emperor or
has no clothes?
Well, the emperor of Japan or the admiral of the Japanese Navy. Somebody said, you know, one of these guys said, I don't want to go and invade because behind every blade of grass is a man, woman, and child with a shotgun or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I want to feel safe in Adams County, so we're in a blue state, right? And like, I mean, I can throw a stone and hit the red state.
Yeah.
And I kind of like positioned in the Gem City. You know, supposedly tornadoes jump the river and land in Liberty.
That's what I've always heard.
You know, I don't know. Say Liberty, look out. Sorry, Liberty, Illinois, but you're getting hit with tornadoes and Quincy's protected.
Although, have they ever been hit? I don't know.
I don't know, but I
know Ursa has, like a few times.
I don't know, but for some reason I heard that sometimes the river and
like the upstream or something of
upstream
of the bank there.
The cool water disrupts the tornado, and it kind of like, you know, so like we're really safe here.
I don't know. My lane. I've always heard that as well.
Yeah, I have no idea if that's true. But do you feel pretty safe? Do you think Adams County has enough of the constituency, enough of the old school revolutionary spirit, the founding father spirit, to where you feel like pretty safe here? Because here's why. When I hear the news, I think to myself, I'm so glad I'm not on the coasts. I'm so glad, you know, I want to sit here and moan and bitch about how we don't have oceans and vineyards and mountains and, like, you know, palm trees. But really, you know, I just came back from a place that has palm trees, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And I come back to Quincy, and I came in through the East Corridor, where it just doesn't look. I'll tell you right now, people who come into Quincy, if they come in from the bridge, that is a different look than coming off of I-72. It's a totally different feel. You can get like two outcomers, like two out-of-towners from Quincy. Have 10 come in through the Eastern Corridor and 10 come across the bridge, and all meet in, I don't know, like St. Peter's parking lot.
Sure.
Don't even let the people from the Eastern Corridor come down Main Street all the way. Make them stop at 25th Street and pull into St. Peter's parking lot. But make the people who come in from the bridge, make them go all the way down 24th Street on Main.
36th Street, maybe.
Or whatever. Yeah, sure. Yeah, because then you have you get beautiful, like Quincy Senior High.
Yep.
Looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, from the street.
Things are happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a big difference. But do you think this is like one of the safest places in America?
Well, what I can say about that is I've traveled all over the world, and we brought our family here.
Boom. Jason McCoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Real quick.
Oh, no. Oh, Freedom Fest.
Let me pitch a few things.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
So this weekend, 21st, 22nd, we have the Gem City concerts. Now, those are hard rock concerts at the Lincoln Park over by the Park District offices just north of the dock bar.
Okay.
How we're associated with that is he needed a lot of help. They moved from a 2-acre lot next to Washington Park to a 10-acre park where they're at there, and so he needed some help with manpower. So a mutual friend said, the Freedom Fest is they're getting rallied up for their event on July 4th and 5th, and they've got a really, really great volunteer base. And so he, Scott Edlin reached out to us and said, we will help you guys with tips, and we'll donate to whatever we can do to Freedom Fest. If you guys can, come and share some love on the manpower side and volunteer for behind the bar, parking cars, maybe do a little odd jobs here and there. So we said, yeah, that's great. We'd love to partner with anything else in the community that brings the community together and kind of celebrates just the arts or whatever.
That's this weekend.
That's this weekend, Friday, Saturday. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but I think, and I can post that actually underneath the comments here, but on Friday, I think it starts off with 10-day, or maybe it was, oh man, I cannot remember the first two bands, but it was Seven Dust is going to be the headliner.
It's a pretty big name, actually.
Yeah, Seven Dust is a big name. And then the second night, it's Saliva, Drowning Pool, and Buck Cherry.
Wow.
Yeah, so 3 huge bands, one after the other on Saturday night. So that starts probably around 7, I think.
Okay.
The gates will probably open around 6, 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on. But anyway, so yeah, huge bands coming this weekend. We got a lot of tickets are sold, but I think they're still accepting people at the gate. So if you don't have your tickets, go get them. If not, you probably will still be able to get in at the gate. That's at GymCityConcerts.com. You can get your tickets there. And then in 2 weeks,
yes,
we have America's birthday. And so we're doing July 4th and 5th at Cloud Adams Park. We've got bands, kids, entertainment. We have local organizations doing entertainment. Cindy Vansel Dance Studios is going to do a little thing. They're going to have a Latin dance, a car show on the 4th. So Adam Fenton is putting on a car show right next to the park. And then we'll do some awards and stuff on the 4th. And then a bike show on the 5th. That will also be a big deal there. So
how many years of this is in the making? I mean, how many Freedom Fests have you had?
So this is our 3rd year as an organization. So it's its own non-for-profit charity, 501c3 educational organization.
Okay.
So the whole mission is to not only celebrate America's birthday, but also educate our community on what does it mean? What is Independence Day? What did our founding fathers want for our citizens in this new world?
Yeah.
Because it was all brand new. So there's a whole we're slowly rolling out this what I call a walking museum throughout the whole park. And so every year we're adding more and more elements to this America Revolted Museum. And so last year we have a 10-foot tall Declaration of Independence. That's a dry erase board you can sign with the founding fathers.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's really cool. So definitely come down, sign with the founding fathers.
Do you think some jerk is going to do a John Hancock through the whole thing?
We actually had a kid do this thing that was pretty, but it's big. I mean, we have a huge, probably 3-foot by 4-foot area where you can sign.
It's awesome.
The beauty of it,
yeah.
One gentleman walked up and he just started crying.
Really?
And he said, "This is one of my great-great-great-grandfathers signed it, the original document." And I said, "Well, there's a spot right there. You sign right next to it."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, I got to take a picture with it, clearly, right? So.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool. So just really cool things happen. Also, can't miss that we have vendors. So as a just respect to American entrepreneurship, like we wanted all the small businesses to come down if you're available. Try to make it as affordable as possible to be down there and just share your mission with your community, and maybe you build some kind of relationships with local businesses that are here too. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for all that information.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on. Jason McCoy. Appreciate it. Thank you.